Hey everyone, it's Maribel Blue with a new Pathetically Unfiltered episode 3. Now, I did record an episode 3, but due to unfortunate events that happened yesterday, I could not edit, I could not record. It's just been okay. I'm just gonna say it without hopefully not getting emotional. My little co-host, Miss Nikki, is no longer with us. She was very sick for the last few months, and it is the reason why it took me longer to record because of the stress. So I bought the Calvary here.
Them separate and do not give her an opportunity.
Miss Nikki stole
you guys need to
my
understand
chair.
This thing has one motive, and that is to get out of the park. And the only way it can get out of the park is if it manipulates a loved one to escort it out of the park. We just need to keep doing what we're doing and keep them separate until the dad gets.
So I bought the Calvary here to help me through these news segments because, you know, the show must go on. With all that being said, if you are new here, welcome. This segment is called Pathetically Unfiltered, thanks to one hater comment who gave me a wonderful idea for this news and reactions. And it is not limited to politics, but we will discuss politics in this segment. And if you are not new, welcome back. For everyone who is watching, please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, comment, let us know what you would like to hear next in the news, because there's a lot of stuff going on in this day and age that we must discuss. So let's get started with the first thing. The first thing is not politics, but I do want to bring this up because I thought it was wildly crazy. So before I share my screen, I need to say a girl in a plant world has no idea what I'm going to be talking about, which makes it fun because the last time we did this, we were laughing our butts off, especially with that dude that was like, you know, stealing panties. That was
the panty raider.
Crazy, yeah.
Yes.
Today in the first part of this segment, we are going to talk about orders on Shein website. Have you heard about this?
Oh yeah, I actually just recently purchased from there.
I'm telling you, girl, stop buying cheap. That's what I tell people. Stop buying cheap. I remember this was some years ago. A friend of mine, she had told me about this website. She told me about this site. I forget what the site was. So our asses, this was back in like 2014. We ordered from this site. We were so excited. We were like, yeah, we're getting all of this cheap stuff. Like I ordered rings that I still have, mind you. I can't even fit into the, and still that. Oh. We ordered from this site and it was so funny because she ordered, I guess, like a whole bunch of clothes when she got to work, because I don't know if it arrived. And then she has like this really nonchalant attitude. You know what I mean? Like when she says something, you know that she's pissed about it because there isn't like some kind of reaction. She goes, I can't even say it with a straight face. She's like, I got my order. And I know she was pissed. How am I supposed to fit into this? It was like these tiny leggings.
Like the size of a toddler. Oh my Lord. It's happened to me. It has. And then you're just like left with these clothing. You're like, I don't want to just like get rid of them, you know?
Like, what do you do? What do you do with that? There's nothing that you can do with it. So there's this whole thing going on with Shein, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and it's from TikTok. Let's listen to this video.
The Chinese fashion giant Shein says it is investigating after a University of Bristol student said she discovered a live scorpion in a parcel from the firm. Sophia Alonso Mossinger said she thought she was dreaming when she saw the scorpion crawling around inside the package. A specialist animal charity later collected it, adding its sting would have been medically significant and potentially life-threatening.
We should not be laughing at this.
The Chinese
We are
fashion
dead
giant
wrong.
Shein.
Oh my God.
I don't even know what to like. What?
Wait,
Whoa.
and then not only that too, but wait,
Yeah.
let's go back to the video here. They're taking video of it. Do you see these people like taking?
Sophia Alonso Mossinger said she thought she was dreaming when she saw the scorpion crawling around inside.
Somebody put.
Specialist animal charity later collected it, adding
Somebody
its
put.
That is nightmare fueled.
Never Shein that before.
Oh,
I would have opened it without
Was it
releasing and
alive?
end up living with a scorpion for weeks.
Was it alive?
Not only that, yes, it was crawling around. Not me seeing this laying in my bed that I opened and emptied a Shein parcel earlier.
Oh.
Great, just as I'm waiting for my Shein parcel to arrive. I mean, the comments are endless.
Oh my
Second
God.
Shein parcel I've seen with a scorpion.
That's wild.
Here's another one. Here's another video.
These scorpions actually arrive in
3.
various different packages from China. So it's not the same company. They're all different companies. But to see 3 within a relatively short space of time
Okay, that
is a concern. They have the potential to be life-threatening. For the average healthy adult, they wouldn't. It would just absolutely ruin your day. But they are potentially a very dangerous species. So the one we would be really concerned about coming in. So if you do find something in a package, treat it with caution. We never know exactly what they're going to be or how dangerous they could be. Don't touch it or anything like that. But if you could get a glass or some bowl or
A
something
glass?
place over it, if you give us a call, we'll find somebody local to actually.
I wouldn't even let it out of the bag.
The last month, we've had 3 of these scorpions actually arrive.
I mean,
tell me how crazy this is.
I would
How
burn it.
crazy is that? This was my comment. Keep shopping cheap.
But here's the deal: is like
Scorpion distribution
Scorpios?
system.
Oh my God!
Complimentary scorpion.
Oh my gosh, 3.
Bro, the thing is, I wouldn't even notice because I'm too excited looking at the clothes. I mean, seriously, in all seriousness, aside from the laughter and everything, right?
Like that to me is horrific. What if it was at the bottom and you put your hand in there and it bites you? Like,
Right.
how have they
It
not been
stings you.
sued?
I
How have
don't
they
know.
not been sued into oblivion with this?
I don't know. But see, that's the crazy part. People need to be careful. Like, you need to be careful when you're shopping. I mean, like I told you, even though my friend and I bought rings that still don't fit because they're literally like a child size ring.
Yeah. I mean,
And like why I still have these rings, I don't even know. I guess for just the sheer memory and laughing or whatever. But the fact is, when she pulled out those pants, she was like, how am I going to fit into this? Like, she had this most serious look on her face. I just busted out laughing because you're spending all of this money.
Yeah.
Thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to get all of these clothes for cheap because you don't want to go like to Forever 21. Forever 21 is still cheap. But at least you know that a deadly scorpion is not going to accompany your clothes because you're physically there shopping.
I can't even imagine. I literally can't even wrap my head around receiving a package and you're like feeling good about it because you didn't, break your bank or whatever, and you want to feel stylish or trendy. I get all those things, but then at what price, really? Your health, your life. Like, I mean, is it really worth it with these companies? Because time and time again, and it's funny because when I recently ordered from this company, was I disappointed? Yes. And I kind of knew what I was getting into, but you hear other people who tell you all the time, like, oh, just do it. It's not that bad. And then I order from there and I didn't feel good about it. And 2, it just felt like, it just felt cheap. It just felt cheap, And so that being said, it's like, at what cost, is it worth buying these things? And are these people, is it sustainable? We know it's not, is it actually ethical? No, and now it's like, you're at the risk of getting something really potentially dangerous, I mean, I even read that like some of the products that you buy from that company, they have warnings of, it being like toxic to your skin.
Yes.
Is that crazy?
Yeah.
You know?
I think I was looking at some videos of people ordering stuff from Temu. Like they've ordered
Yeah.
pillows and gotten rashes from it.
Yeah.
And my thing is, look, I am a frugal shopper. And I think
Right.
anybody who knows me knows that. I don't have an issue with sales or anything like that. And maybe it's just the Taurus in me. I love a good sale. I love saying
Same.
I got these shoes. You know that because you've
Yes.
seen stuff that I only paid like $10 for it.
Yes.
You
It's
know?
a win. Yes.
And it's a good deal, but I'm actually buying from reputable stores. And
Right.
granted, yeah, they may get their stuff overseas, and I get that. But
Right.
it's not accompanied with any like weirdo bugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think this is the thing that we need to be careful. Yes, there's nothing wrong with wanting to shop for bargains,
Right.
but
Right.
do it with common sense.
Right. Right. I guess like the questions you need to be asking yourself before diving into it, is it safe for me? Is it hazardous? And is it ethical?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So that is the news on Shein and buying cheap knockoffs, that you may have a scorpion accompanied with that. And you know what? Here's the other thing I want to say really quick. Living out here in Arizona, coming from the Bronx, New York City, you see different kinds of bugs in the East Coast. Whereas out here in the summers, the scorpions come out. And I have no issues doing away with them. Which I have.
Yes,
it's almost like, you know, the getting out the anger and frustration and what have you. But the minute that I see something larger than my hand, I will not even try.
Well, that's scary. And those were huge. That was like a decent size scorpion. You know?
Yep.
Like, no thanks.
Yeah. Nope, that shit will stay in the bag. I will suffocate it.
I would literally burn it. I would take a fire, like literally like a flamethrower. Like I would just flamethrow it. There wouldn't be a chance.
So that means the bag you're waiting for, you're going to open it outside.
Call the cops.
The next thing that I have on my handy card here, and we need to get into this. The whole, they're calling it Trumpchella thing instead of Coachella, which I think makes absolute sense. He had a rally in Coachella, California, right? What I've seen on videos, what I have read, Donald Trump had a rally in California. The parking was 5 miles away. So yes, and there were some people who camped out. Now, I'm sure that these are people that don't live in neighboring California, right?
Mm-hmm.
They probably drove from wherever, they camped out, and then they were instructed they would be bused to the actual venue. Okay, there were like 20 buses, and they bused the people there. Now, from what I understand, also, the 5 mile away was like a 2-hour walk. Now, here's my thing. My logic in my head, 2-hour walk, I've done that in New York City.
Right.
I have walked all over downtown.
Right.
And I think when you're in New York City, you can basically walk anywhere, not feel like you've been walking for the last 2 hours. Because the streets are small. You go from one place to, I've walked from Union Square to 14th Street. And for anybody to know that area, they were like, oh yeah, that's like nothing.
Right,
it could be done, no problem. Out in California, in 100-degree weather in the desert, where who knows what kind of scorpions are there.
Oh, yeah.
In the dark with no light.
California. You know, it's very dusty out there. It's dusty.
Right. So I'm going to play this video now. There was a lot of recordings going on there, and it cracked me up because somebody was like, something went wrong. You think something went wrong?
God. Oh,
like
gosh.
Something has been going wrong for the longest time. For the longest time.
It's a logic I will never wrap my head around. I just can't wrap my head around it. And I've tried to understand it. I really have, but it's one of those things that it's crazy. It's craziness. It's just pure.
You can't understand it. You can't.
Well, and it's like, if this was any other dynamic, any other scenario, any other situation, and you heard that a man saying this stuff, doing these things, I guarantee you would not support that. But for some reason, this scenario and this situation, it feels okay and acceptable. That's what I'm like really having a hard time wrapping my head around. You know?
So here's the video. This is from the Midas Touch Network. I love
at the
these guys.
recent
I
event
them.
that he held. This one was the event at Coachella that he held on Saturday evening. The buses that brought people to the event, well, they were not organized to bring the people back from the event. So people were stranded throughout the night. You hear attendees on that video. There were people who were saying, "This is criminal. This is criminal. What's going on?" Now, Donald Trump has a repeated pattern of being unable to organize these campaign events to even facilitate the transport. You may recall back in October of 2020, we reported here on the Midas Touch Network how Donald Trump did that in a Omaha, Nebraska speech where people were left stranded in freezing weather. More on that in a bit. But let me just show you some other clips of the people being stranded here who attended this disastrous Trump event in Coachella. Here is another angle of it. Let's play it.
Gas. They had no gas. They had to. You know, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can't imagine how many people are still. There's so many people still here.
I know. I'm trying to get people to come back.
Oh, this is criminal.
And this comes from another individual who was there. You can see the people stranded. You can hear what this person has to say. Let's play it.
Guys, we came to the Trump rally, and this is the aftermath.
Man, all those people walking right now, they got hope.
So I don't know how long do we have to wait here before we can get to the bus and go back to our car. We waited like 7 hours to just get in the rally, and now it's time to go back. So hopefully we don't have to wait for that long to get in the bus, because our car is back there at the parking, which is like 5-6 miles away. But it's blocked by police, so no one actually can leave.
Yeah, that's true.
This is so symbolic.
Now, a lot of these Trump attendees were making posts like this. Here's an individual by the name of Wesley Johnson who was chronicling his experience at this Coachella event. You see him right there in his various posts. So as the event was wrapping up, he says, "Thank you, at Real Donald Trump. Make California great again." You see them in their MAGA hats right there. And by the way, you can see from just even the photo that they took that, look, there wasn't like nobody at this event, but Donald Trump was claiming there's 100,000 people there. I don't even think there was 5,000 people at this event, but nonetheless, a lot of them were stranded because of the poor organization of this. Here's what Wesley Johnson writes. He goes, "It's 10 p.m. Rally ended at 7 p.m. Thousands of people still stranded here, waiting for transit back to the parking lots. Something has gone horribly wrong. Someone needs to ask the Coachella mayor if he had anything to do with this." I want to blame the Coachella mayor right away. "Parking lot is a 2-hour walk. Countless elderly stranded here and can't walk anymore. No restroom facilities accessible anymore. Someone find out what happened here. This is not normal and feels nefarious and criminal." Here he's trying to blame that this was somehow the mayor of Coachella's fault when it was Donald Trump. Does this repeatedly at his various events. But watch how the evening progresses with Wesley Johnson. He then writes, an hour or so later, "Was just told by a bystander that the sheriff said there's only one bus in rotation and turnaround time each drop off is 30 minutes.
These poor people are going to be stranded here early into tomorrow morning. How did we go from 20 to 30 buses down to 1? This needs to be investigated. Then he writes, 2 buses just drove by. Haven't seen any buses move for almost 2 hours. Someone please reach.
I'm laughing at the comments over here.
No.
I wonder if the people at the Trump rally can actually feel themselves getting stupider. Concepts of transportation.
Oh my gosh. No, but it's so symbolic.
I read another one that said my ass got abandoned.
Oh my god. Oh my gosh. What is that one song where it's like you're so far away? It's like you're so. It's a Rod Stewart song.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's not Rod Stewart. It's who is it? Carole King. Yeah. I don't really want to be here.
Yes. All laughing aside,
Oh.
you think about this insanity. The things that this dude was just saying, oh, it's nefarious, it's criminal. They only have one bus and it's only 30 minutes each way. So, and then you've got like, what, a couple of hundred people there having to wait. And then what are you going to do? You're going to be selfish and go first and leave the old people last that were there. There is something, there's a really deep level of lack of critical thinking skills when it comes to this. I think about that person who put that comment. They can no longer comment. They can read the comments and be mocked at. The idea that they got upset that I compared Jim Jones to Donald Trump in my rabbit hole series.
Right.
There are so many scary similarities. And you know about Jim Jones. You know that he praised dictators. And even what I said in my video, when all of that stuff was going on with the segregation, it wasn't like people were not seeing it. They were seeing it. It was happening. So you couldn't turn around and say, well, it's a figment, it's fake news. It was happening. Here in this situation, what people like JD Vance try to do, they try to gaslight people. They're doing this double speak now. They're talking about, oh, our speech is being suppressed. It's not being suppressed. You want to express your hate? Fine. Go ahead and express your hate. But at the end of the day, it's still hate. It's still hate speech. Listen to yourself. Nobody wants to listen to themselves. They think that they're being deprived. No, you're not being deprived.
Well,
you're not.
And it's not. And it's so interesting to me because like I said, I keep using the word how symbolic it is because it really is to me because they're isolated. They have isolated themselves so much that like these supporters that they won't listen to anything else. It's almost like that teenager at home that's going through all the hormones and they're like stuck in their room all day and you're just like, get outside, you know, touch grass. But at the same time, it's like, from my knowledge of cults, it's very eerie how much aligned with like cult behavior Trump has, because ultimately most of these cult leaders, so it's very interesting because, like, in my personal opinion, how I kind of break it down, you know, you have like your serial killers and and then there's cult leaders, right? And just from my knowledge, serial killers, they kind of come up from a very rough upbringing. They hate their mothers, they hate their parents. There's a lot of hatred, self-hatred, all of that. But with cult leaders, what I've noticed is they grew up the opposite. They were praised. They were told they were godly. They were told they were out of this world, that they were brought from God. I mean, there's so many different variations of it, but that's what I've noticed about these childhood. You're either told you're going to amount to nothing and you're terrible, or you're told that you are the next Christ. And so I personally believe that that's the upbringing Trump had, that he was told he was so special, so amazing, that he was going to be this tycoon and all of this stuff. And look at the product. And the terrible part of it is that he had the money to back his thinking and to back his way into where the power he's in now. You know, he had the financial gain to do it. Most of these cults, they don't have that instant financial gain. Or when they do, they self-isolate and start a commune, right? Well, guess what the commune is? America.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
It's very scary. And when I hear people, I'm still going to vote for him, especially like women, that I think for me, that is the most disturbing, because it's not like random women I'm talking about. I'm talking about women that I know, women that I know that have experienced some form of abuse.
Yes.
And to me, that tells me that you still have unresolved issues, not analyzing, I'm making a diagnosis.
Yeah.
I have been there. I know what it's like to experience living with a narcissist, not just with shit show, but with previous relationships where they peg you into this corner and you start to question your own sanity, your own existence, your own reality, and still think that it's okay. You know what? You're just having a moment. I'm having a moment. It's not them, it's me. And that's what they have you believe. And when I hear women still sticking up for somebody who has been convicted 34 counts of different crimes, come on. Like, where is your head? Where is the level of critical thinking and sanity that you think it's okay? He made mistakes. Mistakes? You're talking about a person that you want running the country? There's no room for making mistakes.
Well, what's really hard for me is the constant minimizing of his behavior. And it's almost like what he's put his followers into this weird position of like this or that. I'd rather have this because this is worse, right? I'd rather have this because that's worse. And that kind of logic is a little weird to me, because it's like, it's again, like exactly what you're saying. Do you hear yourself? That thing. And most of these people, exactly what you're saying, because like anyone who follows a cult, there's unresolved issues that they haven't worked out, and they're looking for guidance, they're looking for love. I mean, there's a million things that they're searching for, and what they're searching for is within this leader. And so that being said, something in Trump is really what these people are seeking out and needing. That's the only logic I can really wrap my head around, but it's fully like people who are not capable as well of able to take a look in the mirror and just say, do I hear myself? Like, is this logical? Because I think too, if you really have to face that logic, you really have to face some ugly truths about yourself, and some you have to dig deep for some like insecurities that you have to like figure out. And a lot of these people, they either are insecure because they are not comfortable with the idea of truly living in desegregation, truly living in a world where racism is not acceptable, right? Or treating women like pieces of meat or a product is not acceptable. Or even then, like being submissive, or I mean, there's so many things. It's such a big rabbit hole for me, because I just truly, I have to understand, like, why are you still following him? You know, I have to understand it, because it's so irrational. How are these people waiting for that many hours and fine with it? How is he not being
I would have
sued over
lost
this?
my mind. I literally would have lost my mind knowing that. I know myself, I would have been like, let's just start walking.
Yeah, same.
And we're going to get there at some point, because that would have been me. But that's what a narcissist likes to perpetuate. They like the insanity. They like keeping the insanity alive, because within that insanity, they feel as though they are going to control the outcome, and they look like a hero, and they really are not a hero. We could be on this all day. Let's really move on to the final topic, which is P. Diddy.
Oh, girl. You know I'm excited about this one.
Well, in my last news segment, so I was talking about this guy who listed all of the charges. Well, he didn't list all of the charges. He basically said...
But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. And I'm talking about the people that participated, encouraged it, egged it on. They know who they are. I call them the facilitators of foul play, willing participants in vile conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These defendants will not only include individuals, but also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. We know that many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused, or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave, and then threatened as they were leaving.
I don't know if you got a chance to watch the last video. He was saying things that happened, things that were going on that other people have witnessed. And the one thing that he said was, we know who you are, so you can like go through your phone and delete. And I'm telling you, it was like he was saying you could delete your evidence on your phone, but we have everything. So who knows how long this investigation has been going on.
Can I tell you
Now,
my conspiracy?
You can tell me your conspiracy, but wait, hold
Okay.
that thought, because
Okay.
I have to share something
Oh gosh. Okay.
that I found on TikTok. I was like, what? Like, I could not believe it.
Underground, there's warehouses underground. There's actual homes underground. People build these tunnels, and they've built them for decades. There's a lot of elite celebrities. They go down there for parties. Underneath the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, California. I was there for a cock party. We walked through the museum, through the garden area, and employees led us to underground tunnels. We had to take an elevator and stairs. We had to be led. There is no way that you can just walk into a tunnel. The entrances and the exits are in your face, but there's no way that you can just walk through tunnels. You'll get stuck. You'll go deeper and deeper, and you won't be able to come back out because it's hard, because the tunnels run all different directions for miles and miles and miles and miles. So if you go down the wrong one, you'll get stuck, and it's confusing to turn back around and get back to where you're going. So you have to be led in and out. I think people assume that when you get underground, it's just this dirt, and you keep going deeper and there's more dirt, and then there's cages. No, that's not how it works. The Playboy Mansion. The Playboy Mansions. I met some really elite people when I was there. I had to do jobs with some elite celebrities.
I'm a psychic medium, so I actually, like, every time I walk past his house, and obviously the Playboy Mansion's right there, and we know about the tunnels that connect from the Playboy Mansion.
To here?
I'm sure they connected. Why wouldn't
There are places that connect. So what kind of energy? What kind of energy are you picking up?
Just like, there's just like darkness. I mean, in general, like, I've always had weird feelings on this street.
Yeah.
This type. Well, the Playboy Mansion's down there. So I always thought it was the Playboy Mansion. It wasn't until probably a year ago that I realized this was Diddy's house.
I cannot believe what went on under it. Playboy magazine reports it has just discovered blueprints for a network of tunnels beneath the mansion that supposedly led to the homes of Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, James Caan,
Will you watch this thing?
and Kirk Douglas. Now dig this. A photo from the late 70s allegedly showing an excavation in progress beneath the mansion. And this one shows the newly discovered tunnel plans. Check out the bunny logo on the plywood wall. Best of all, the blueprint. It says this tunnel leads to James Caan's house. This one to Jack Nicholson's. This one to Kirk Douglas's. And this one goes all the way to Warren Beatty's house.
I mean, it's not only that is what's coming up. There's a guy who's been doing like songs, like uncovering hidden meanings of songs. But I want to hear your theory now that you've taken that in.
Well, if anything, it supports my theory. Wow. Okay, my mind is racing right now. Do you remember I did a series on it, and I've heavily debated redoing the series about the Bohemian Club.
Yes. Isn't
Okay.
that how we started talking when you put up
Yes.
those crazy videos?
Yes. So I'm going to plant that seed. That was like 3 years ago. Isn't that crazy? I was so nervous. Anyways, and there's so much, I was so nervous because there was so much I wanted to talk about, but I was scared to talk about it. True. Like, I was actually scared to talk about some of the things that I found out. And I'm not an Alex Jones fan, okay? But he was the one that broke into the Bohemian Club, and he is the one that collected footage of the Bohemian Club. Now, that being said, this is my conspiracy. Okay, we've always talked about the Illuminati, right? This was always a conspiracy, which technically it still is. But are we unraveling what the Illuminati is? With this case with P. Diddy, is this exposing? And then am I going to take it a step further? Is he either in control of the Illuminati, ahead of the Illuminati, or the Illuminati is sacrificing him? Because now I feel like since the P. Diddy files have come out, to me, this backs how true possibly the Illuminati is. Because there's even been times I've like kind of questioned it. I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of stupid. You know, I'm a Beyonce fan. I'm a fan of a lot of different genres. And that being said, now all this information's coming out and we're hearing all these names. Jay-Z, Kanye West. Allegedly, he murdered Tupac and Biggie Smalls, which makes sense to me. If you think back when Biggie Smalls passed away, he turned that into, because we're old enough, we were witnessing to all this. He turned it into a debauchery. He had Mary J. Blige sing a song with him. Do you remember? There was no crying. It was a show. He turned his death into a show.
Yeah.
And then benefited off of his legacy, his greatness. Same thing with Tupac. So to me, I'm curious what we're going to see. May 2025 is when his trial is set. To me, this supports the idea of the Illuminati.
I never thought about that. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. That is something to, I guess, do like a deep dive. You know what I mean? And kind of throw different ideas out there. And, you know, I just want to say for clarity purposes, everything that we talk about here, like, don't take it literal, you know, because a lot of people, this is the reason why we're in trouble, because a lot of people are taking Donald Trump stuff literally and believing everything that he's saying. So I think we just should be mindful. These are just ideas that we're throwing out. It doesn't mean that it's a literal sense.
Right.
Who knows about these underground tunnels? Now, I'll tell you, I believe in underground tunnels because they have it in the Bronx. They did tunnels on purpose, you know, like for war purposes so that people could escape. And there are still tunnels that exist in the Bronx where I used to live. So I know about that.
Even in Washington State, when I lived there, there was actually right in the city that I lived in, there was a tunnel that went to a prostitution house all the way to the Bay Docks because the captains didn't want the sailors to go visit the ladies of the night. So they created a tunnel.
Yes.
Tunnel making's been around forever. It totally makes sense. And
of course. And who's to say that these celebrities back in the day, maybe they did that on purpose for whatever reason. I mean, one can speculate why. Maybe just for the sole purposes of privacy. Maybe they just wanted to go from one house to another without having to walk out in the street, without having to be barraged with paparazzi. I mean, it could be just as innocent as that.
Well, I'm curious. When you talk about tunnels in the Bronx, my first question is, have you been in a tunnel? 2,
it was locked.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. There is a tunnel in the park where I used to walk my dogs. And if you get out of the park and you walk around, you see that there's a lock in it. So apparently this thing is a tunnel underneath the park. But then from what I also understand, there were two adjacent houses on a particular street. I don't want to say what street because it's private, and said that there was an underground tunnel. That one house of the park led to the other part of the house.
Interesting.
And they did that on purpose because if criminals were hiding out and the cops were looking for them, they can escape underneath and go to the other house. And the cops did not know that the houses were linked together underground.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's so funny too, because this is history. When we learn about it, we never talk about stuff like this. And again, conspiracy talk, right? But interesting, right? Like, how advanced is tunnel making in today's, with all the technology we have, and hearing that TikTok clip and thinking about P. Diddy and the Illuminati. I mean, I even think about the Colorado airport, the Denver, Colorado airport, and those conspiracies. Yeah. On top, even Seattle was built on, it's known as built on top of the underground city. I can't remember exactly, but I mean, this is.
I personally do feel like P. Diddy is tied, though, to the Illuminati, and whether he is a head or he's kind of like gonna take the blame for them, but it just feels too much of a correlation with the information that's coming out and what we've also have always kind of guessed about or have heard about the Illuminati. And what's really interesting too is if you look at actors and comedians, there's been warnings that have been given to us. Like example, Cat Williams, probably about a couple of years ago, he came out with information that was really like compelling. And with all this stuff coming out with P. Diddy now, it really backs that information that he was saying. So,
well, there's a guy on TikTok, and I'm going to share this last video where he also is doing conspiracy theories, but in connection to something. What do you think of that?
it makes sense to me. It's interesting. That's interesting. And that thought has crossed my mind as well. And then we go into the tunnel talk. And but that being said, there's going to be so much more that's going to come out that I feel like we're just barely scratching the surface. I'm honestly interested in your thoughts.
I think I have to do like a deep dive on it because I just came across this guy's video literally like the other day. With everything that's been going on with Miss Nikki, it's kind of like so it wasn't something that it wasn't like something I was really pondering on because I was thinking about her at that moment. But that's something that I'm going to have to revisit. And I think maybe if we do an episode 4 on this and really just focus in on P. Diddy news reactions and conspiracy theories on the next episode of Pathetically Unfiltered, because the premise of this news segment is to basically point out the sheer patheticness. I mean, that's obvious for us, for people who understand and can see everything that's going on without having a filter over our eyes and inventing things that adhere to our outrageous sort of nonsense. Taking those conspiracy theories, and maybe there is some truth to it. There's some truth to talk about The Simpsons. So it's kind of like the same thing. Is it a coincidence? Is it a conspiracy theory? Is there truth to it? There's so much to uncover for another episode.
I was just going to say the same thing, because that's a whole other monster in its own.
Yeah, so I think that this episode, we're going to end it. It's definitely a cliffhanger in the sense that here we have this episode of this guy kind of putting things together and doing research, and we're going to definitely talk more about it. Thank you so much for being the cavalry in helping me put this episode together. And thank you so much. If you are watching this episode to the end, thank you so much for watching and putting up with a little bit of the tears. Any ideas, if you have any feedback on the whole P. Diddy thing, we would love to hear your thoughts. And with all that being said, this is Maribel Blue and a girl in a plant world signing off. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.